What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we here for a Monday Night Raw review for November the 23rd, 2020, the night after the Survivor Series, where we bid the goodbye, good riddance of The Undertaker. So WWE decided tonight we were going to milk it even more, because WWE loves to milk things. Remember when Becky announced she was pregnant? We didn't stop hearing about it for at least 2 to 3 weeks. So expect Friday to hear and see the same video package for The Undertaker saying farewell. It's just so dumb. It's like, the more and more you milk things, the less and less people care. Somebody needs to tell Vince McMahon that the more you milk it, the less people care. We had not one, but 2 impromptu title matches. A rematch for the tag team titles from last week. Why? Because they can. And a rematch between Lana and Asuka from a couple months ago. Like a month or so ago. Why? Because she was the sole survivor. The pathetic, embarrassing sole survivor. So, we start the show off. We get a video package of everything that happened last night. We see a video package of last week's main event. We go to live the USA Network, Thunderdome, all that stuff. We go right to the Team Raw is already in the ring. AJ with big man Jordan, Braun Strowman, Sheamus, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, producer Adam Pearce is also there, and he talks about last night's Survivor Series. Pay-per-view, the celebration of The Undertaker and his final goodbye, and a clean sweep by the men's Raw team. Pearce says the win should come with a reward. He goes on and mentions giving everyone the chance tonight to make their case for what sounds like a WWE title shot. Sheamus interrupts and Pearson says if AJ is not the captain, and then he congratulates WWE Champion Drew McIntyre and goes about how he was the MVP last night. AJ interrupts and disagrees. He says it looks like Sheamus will use his friendship with McIntyre to get a title shot. AJ says he was the real MVP last night as the team captain. Lee interrupts and says not only did he save AJ last night, he pinned the actual team captain. The actual SmackDown captain, making it obvious who should be worthy of the title shot. Riddle says he wants to be WWE champion too, and he says they all did last night was pretty sick. He pinned Corbin and wonders if this makes him King Bro. Matt Riddle says he would beat Drew to become the WWE title champion. Him and Sheamus have words. Pearce tells Strowman to make this case next. Last but not least, Strowman yells at Pearce for that phrase. Pearce apologizes, but Strowman grabs him by his collar and starts yelling at him. Strowman wants to be the champ, wants to hit Pearce. Pearce pleads with him. He drops him with a headbutt. Then the other team members scold Strowman, but he doesn't want to hear it, and we go to commercial break. So, obviously, the winner, they're going to figure out who's going to be the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. And honestly, yes, you go 5 straight, you should have some kind of reward. Apparently, that's what they're going to do. But Braun Strowman crosses the line because of something stupid that Adam Pearce said. We see from earlier where the Hurt Business had words with Raw Tag Team Champions The New Day, who of course lost last night, saying they embarrassed everyone, yourselves, and the entire Raw brand when you lost the Survivor Series. Cedric and Shelton want a title shot. Xavier reminds them that what happened last week when they won that match. So they have back and forth. Cedric is getting in the face of Xavier Woods, being like, just, you know you want this match. You know we want this match. We're going to go out there and we're going to make you pay. And it's going to be the same thing that happened last night. With the winner, with us being the tag team champions. And it's like, you want that match? You got it. So, we have that match coming up next. The Tag Team Championship match. The Hurt Business versus The New Day. And this was a hell of a match. I wish we would get rid of all the Monday Nitro type shit that we've had going on. And just go down to having great professional wrestling. The storylines will come eventually. I mean, the Alexa Bliss stuff, which we'll talk about later, is the best storyline on Raw right now. But good matches is what we need, and then we can get good stories out of that. So we have this match going on, and it's getting heavy. It's getting like heavy out there, and these guys are beating the hell out of each other. Kofi Kingston goes to go to the top when the referee's distracted. Cedric Alexander grabs him and yanks him down Tom Phillips likes to remind everybody that had the referee saw that, it would have been disqualification. The very rarely used rule of the illegal man touching the attacking the legal man in the ring in a tag team match. Why? Because they want to throw that out there every once in a while. But Shelton Benjamin comes out and forgets that, hey, this is not a no count-out match. He wrestles with Kofi for a bit, but do not make it into the ring at time, and the ref calls the match. The double count-out and decision is announced. MVP enters the ring and Cedric and Shelton raising their arms, but they're confused. The New Day go up the ramp asking for their titles. MVP says, this is not how this is going to end. We want this match to restart. You want it. We want it. Let's get this match going. Are you guys scared? Are you scared to defend your titles? So the New Day come back down and the match gets restarted. So we get another match between these two, and it still is a heck of a match. They go out there, and the big thing about this is, like, right at the beginning, Kofi goes to get Shelton Benjamin's on the ropes. Kofi goes over to strike him, and he just volleys him or vaults him over the top rope. He goes crashing down feet first, and his knee is hurt. His right knee is hurt. So the Hurt Business have a target to attack, and that is Kofi's right knee. So they beat the hell out of that. He takes so much punishment. There was a time where Cedric Alexander tags in, and Kofi's leg was put over the rope by Shelton. He kicks it and goes for the pin. Referee's like, no, man, your feet are in the ropes. And you actually hear MVP's like, you gotta, like, ring awareness, man, ring awareness. So, you figure, after everything that's been going on, you figure this would be, with the restart of the match, and Kofi being injured, that the Hurt Business would walk out the tag team champions. That is not so. Kofi ends Cedric, Olympic Slam by 2 words. Kofi breaks up the pin just in time. Kofi sends Cedric to the floor, and he comes in. Kofi launches him over the top rope, this was really interesting. Usually he would leap over the ropes into the outside, but because of his injured knee, he can't get the elevation. So he slides himself onto the top rope, bounces a little bit, and bounces himself over, taking down Cedric. This leaves the Woods countering a powerbomb attempt and rolling Shelton up in the middle of the ring for 1, 2, 3 to retain the championships. MVP is not happy on the outside, but the New Day retain the championships, and I think this kind of makes Shelton look kind of stupid. You couldn't kick out of this simple roll-up. I mean, I can understand if you were beaten down bad, but you guys were dominating the New Day for the majority of this match, only to get rolled up like that. So, we go backstage, and Charlie Caruso catches up with Adam Pearce as he's coming out of the trainer's room. You see a nice big bruise on his head. Braun Strowman has been escorted out of the building. Can't speak on the potential repercussions, but if he had it his way, Braun would have been fired, and we never see him again. She asked him about his announcement going on to make earlier, but here comes United States Champion Bobby Lashley, who said he would have never done what Strowman did to him, and I was the only champion at Survivor Series for Raw to win my match, so we need to have a discussion. Charlie goes away. We don't hear anything they're saying. They cut the mic to that. We go to commercial break. We come back. She's asking again. In comes Randy Orton, who doesn't even have his words come out. He just mouths, we need to talk. So they have a discussion. We get, again, we get another ask of what's going on here. And Adam Pearce says a little bit later on, that tonight we will have 3 singles matches with the remaining 4 remaining members of Survivor Series, Randy Orton and Bobby Lashley, in 3 triple threat matches. The winners of those matches will go to the main event of next week, and the winner of that will be your number 1 contender at what I'm pretty much going to say would probably be TLC. So, yeah, there's that. But we go back to the back, and we see Lana, the sole survivor of the most embarrassing finish in a women's match history. She says she's shocked, surprised, amazed that it was the greatest moment of her career and feels the top of the world right now. Mackenzie asks what's next for Lana. Maybe a title shot against the Raw Women's Champion because the Raw men's team is getting title shots eventually. She says she just wants to live in the moment and she can't even think about anything else right now. Don't wake her up because she's dreaming. Then we got the announcement of the triple threat qualifying matches: Matt Riddle versus Sheamus, Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee, and Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. They announced it. And Tom Phillips, the entire night, continues to say it is a match worthy of WrestleMania, forgetting the fact that at WrestleMania last year, didn't AJ Styles take on Randy Orton in a match? Am I missing something here? I'm pretty sure this match has already happened at WrestleMania. How can you say this match was worthy of WrestleMania when it's already happened? Wow. Out comes Matt Riddle, which then he take on Sheamus. This was a decent match. Matt Riddle and Sheamus went out there. They had a nice, these matches weren't short at all. These were long-ass matches. Sheamus applies a cloverleaf submission and tango up some more on the mat, and Riddle rolls him up for the 1-2-3. After the match, Riddle exits the ring and begins celebrating. The furious Sheamus can't believe it. We get the fake bro chants. Matt Riddle taunts Sheamus while backing up the ramps to the stage. He has advanced to the next number one contenders match. Then we go to the back, and Lana is in the back, all jubilant and happy for what she did yesterday. Well, the lack of what she did yesterday. And Asuka's like, I hear you won a title match. Lana's like, no, I don't. I didn't say anything about that. You're one of the greatest women's wrestlers ever. And then Asuka's like, you know what? I like challenges. I accept. I'll see you in the ring. What? Lana stood on the stairs last night for 15 to 20 minutes and cried because Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are mean, so I have to cry to show that they're mean. And lucked into being the sole survivor, and now she's getting a women's championship match. This company is that Monday Night Raw. It feels like back in 2001 when WCW was bought out by WWE, by the WWF at the time. The plan was that WWE, Vince McMahon, were going to take over SmackDown and just be SmackDown, and WCW was going to take, and Nitro was going to take over Monday Night Raw. It took them 19 years, but it feels like WCW Nitro is what we're watching on Monday nights every single week. What kind of bullshit is this? It feels like I'm watching Nitro, not the good Nitros, which there were barely any good Nitros as it is. We're watching the bad Nitros. We see Rambling Rabbit backstage with a photo of Nikki crossing Alexa Bliss, crossing out Nikki's face. The Firefly Funhouse return back to break. We get a confirmation when we come back from break of Asuka versus Lana. And the announcers talk about Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And we go into the Firefly Funhouse with the happy group of Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. They talk about something that's evil, vile, disgusting, even repulsive. Friendship. Wyatt says 1 minute friends are there that's burning the midnight oil, giving you high fives, celebrating you with everything, and then the next minute they're burning other things. And we see flashbacks of when Wyatt set the fire to the Wyatt family compound. Wyatt says, "Trust me, friends are no good." Wyatt and the Firefly puppets go on about friendship, bringing in a new puppet shows up, the Friendship Frog. He tells Bliss and Wyatt to show. He's talking about how friendships, real friendships, can last forever. And then Wyatt tells Bliss, why don't you show a frog friend here, what you're going to do to Nikki Cross later tonight? She's like, sure, a little help, though. Puts her head down, he puts his hand over, talks to her ear. And then she gets the eyes, gets this mallet, whatever the hell. I still don't get what this circle with the cross mallet is thing. I don't know what this is. But she takes that and beats the bejesus out of the Friendship Frog until he's dead. They do a moment of silence thing with they show pictures of a tadpole and a frog and stuff, and then you have Alexa Bliss Friendship Frog was a great amphibian, And then Wyatt's like, too bad he croaked. And they laugh about that. So, is this the only time we'll see the friendship frog? I don't have a clue, but okay. We cut, Wyatt goes on enough. That's enough. He stands with Bliss and calls for a moment of silence. Oh, yeah, we already did that. 1980. Wow. 1980. 40 years old. Okay. They cut. Wyatt said, wave goodbye and end the segment with Wyatt telling Cross they will see you later. Then we go to Lana versus Asuka for the Women's Championship. Like, is Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard trying to troll everybody? Why is Lana even getting a consideration for a Women's Championship match? Like, 9 weeks in a row. 9 weeks in a row. Lana has been put through a table. And that's supposed to be them pushing her. Giving her the good old-fashioned push. She gets our sympathy. We think, oh, she is just strong for continuing to get up and continue to come to work and fight the battles that nobody else wants to fight. Not working. Not working at all. So, out comes Asuka. We go to commercial, back to break. Out comes Lana. They do the introductions, and then out comes Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Apparently, they've just using Nia Jax's theme, and they have a Titantron that actually complements both of them. So they go to commentary. This is a match for about 3-4 minutes, if that. Lana gets some moves in. Asuka goes out, tries to do something, goes outside. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler's like, what, you can't take this woman down? It's Lana. She's pathetic. What are you doing? Are you this terrible? So Asuka grabs a bottle of water, opens it, and just sprays it all over them. So Nia Jax attacks Asuka. They beat the hell out of her. DQ. Asuka retains her championship. Thank goodness. So Nia Jax is going to put Asuka through the commentator's desk. When Lana stops that, they get in the ring. Asuka and her retreat to the ring, retreat to the other side. So Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler challenge these two to a match tonight. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't be a title match. Please don't be a title match. All he needs to see is Asuka and Lana become the women's tag team champions. I think I would lose it. Thankfully, it was a non-title match. So, basically, Lana is getting her ass beat during the majority of this match. Lana is getting beat up. She's getting belittled. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are just ripping into her verbally, mentally, physically, beating the hell out of her. She eventually does tag in Asuka. Nia Jax, then as Asuka's trying to tag Lana back in towards the end of the match, Nia Jax pulls her down, takes her over to get her onto the announce desk to put her through. She fights back off of that. Nia Jax goes to run her over. Lana moves. Nia Jax goes over the announce desk. So she's done. Shayna Baszler then grabs Lana, puts her in the Karafuda clutch even though she's not the legal person. Asuka then grabs Shayna Baszler, rolls her up, 1, 2, 3, and that was that. So Lana gets a win against the Women's Tag Team Champions. Now, does this mean that at TLC, Asuka will not be defending her title, but it's going to be Asuka and Lana versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax? Oh my god. This was just terrible. Boring and dumb. Matt Riddle comes in to talk to MVP. Don't really care. Back from break, the announcer shows highlights of champion Drew McIntyre's non-title loss to United Universal Champion Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. Again, a brutal match that, with everything that went down from Jey Uso getting involved to the low blow, honestly, I see this could be a WrestleMania match coming up next year. Drew McIntyre is no longer WWE Champion because I don't think he's going into WrestleMania as a champion. I just don't see it happening. With the way things play out by the end of the night, I think I know where they're going with things. I know where they're going with some things, but I think I know how things are going to go at the Rumble, and we'll have to wait till then. But they gave Drew McIntyre a reason. And by the way, no Drew McIntyre tonight. which is different, but okay, he needed a day off anyway to recover from that from last night. Non-title triple threat qualifying number 1 contenders match, Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley. This was, if you like hoss fights, if you like two big burly men going out there and throwing hands, beating the hell out of each other, two Mack trucks smashing into each other, this is the match for you. These two went out there and beat the hell out of each other. Bobby Lashley would do a running clothesline into Keith Lee. He would hardly sell it. Bobby Lashley's like, what the fuck do I have to do to this guy? Fucking big move, power move after power move after power move. Like, Bobby Lashley tries to put in the hurt lock. He actually gets busted open hard way on the side of his head. I don't know when it happened, but I only know is when we get towards the end of the match. You can just see on the left side of his head, you just see blood. It wasn't a lot of blood, but there was blood. He's going for the hurt lock. Keith Lee blocks that. But Keith Lee gets put into it. He goes for the hurt lock. Keith Lee blocks it towards the end of the match. He goes and puts him in a sleeper. So Keith Lee he's in the sleeper. He has Keith Lee in the sleeper. Keith Lee runs and drops backwards, dropping Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley's a big dude, but Keith Lee is 320 some pounds, they said. That's going to hurt no matter what. So MVP comes in, he attacks Keith Lee. Keith Lee wins by disqualification, and Keith Lee will move on to next week's triple threat match, which is fine. It makes sense that you don't really want to beat Bobby Lashley. You don't want to beat Keith Lee either. What's the best thing you can do to get out of this? Have MVP come in to cause the disqualification. Sets this thing up for later down the line that these guys have unfinished business to do. I don't think Keith Lee's winning next week. We'll go into who I think is. But this could honestly mean that maybe, just maybe, at TLC, it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee for the United States Championship. Hurt Business is barred from ringside, and we could have ourselves another big, huge hoss fight, maybe a tables match, maybe even a chairs match. God, heaven forbid we have a ladder match between these two. The announcer shows a video package of the recent history between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Sarah travels backstage with Nikki Cross, asking about her friendship with Bliss. Cross says she never gave up. Bliss did, on her and their friendship. She says she's tried for months to save Bliss, to show her that she was being manipulated. She's done trying at last week. Bliss made it perfectly clear that she doesn't want her help. She doesn't want Cross, she wants the Fiend. Message received. They can have each other. She doesn't care. She's tired of trying to worry about Bliss and their friendship, and the only thing she's worried about tonight is beating the Fiend out of Bliss. And Nikki Cross storms off to her terrible country music that does not fit her one bit. I know that WWE has to get rid of the CFO's music, which is honestly outside of the classics that Jim Johnson has done, is some of the best fucking music done in WWE. And because they were stupid enough to sign a piss poor deal with, which I think the CFOs get like 35% of gets a 35% cut of, it's something like that, 35% for the use of those. And that's a terrible deal for WWE. So we got to get rid of these. That's why Seth Rollins has new music. That's why Keith Lee has new music, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, Keith Lee has much better fucking music than he had before. I mean, you have Josiah Williams on your roster. The guy can fucking make music. You should be paying this motherfucker to make music. Just saying. So we go to this match with Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross. Now, this match was interesting. Was it one of the best technical matches ever? Was it a great match overall? No, but basically, they start the match off. Bliss has her hands out, and she's hoping, when Nikki Cross gets her hands close enough, she flaps them and says, "I win." Alexa Bliss is just playing the entire time in this match. She's not being serious whatsoever. Everything, she's just one-upping. She's a second ahead of Nikki Cross. When Nikki Cross clotheslines her, she gets up and she's laughing. She's smiling. She's laughing every time she gets hit, until we get to the end of the match. Towards the end of the match. And Nikki hits her. And then Bliss starts crying. She's like, what's going on here? She's like acting, she's got like this, like, what, like, the spell of the Fiend is off of her. She's like, what am I wearing? What are these gloves? What is this? And she starts crying. And she wants Nikki's help. And Nikki, you could just see that Nikki Cross selling the pain of trying to not hurt her friend anymore, her former friend anymore, is working so well. And you have like you have Alexa Bliss crying, and Cross wanting to help her, and they get up. Bliss finally gets up. They hug, but it's a ruse, flatliner, which they said it was a version of Sister Abigail. It just looked like a flatliner to me. She rolls onto her, does her pose with the hands. 1, 2, 3. Alexa Bliss wins the match in one of the most creative ways possible. I know we have the Academy Awards and the Emmys and all these other type of acting things. Alexa Bliss should win a TV show Emmy for her acting skills, for this, everything that she's doing right now, because my God, is she just killing it. Alexa Bliss is the best thing on Monday Night Raw. I've said it before, and I say it again. Nothing comes close to what Alexa Bliss is doing on Monday Night Raw. Asuka is great in the ring, yes. Shayna Baszler is great in the ring, yes. Lana's terrible. Nia Jax is terrible. Anything those two do, bring the show down. Alexa Bliss is just fucking great. And again, if you would have told me November 23rd, 2019, that Alexa Bliss was going to be the best thing on Raw or SmackDown in 2020, I would have said, you're joking me. You're joking. You gotta be joking. This woman is terrible. Then she teamed up with Nikki Cross. Their chemistry together worked great. They were a hell of a tag team. Won the tag team titles not once but twice. And were a great team. She gets attacked by the Fiend, and then her transformation, it wasn't instant. It just happened over time. And now she's on that peak of just greatness. This is going to be, whatever happens after this is over, Alexa Bliss cannot top everything she's doing right now. I'm sorry. This, whatever this finishes, and she's done being the Sister Abigail, or whatever they want to go with her and the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, is going to be the highlight of her career. Plain and simple. There's just no way she could top this. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. So, that was very creative. Leads us to the video. We go back to commercial break. We come back, and they lead us to the 30 career. Yeah, the video package for The Undertaker was stuff that happened last night. Who gives a shit? Triple threat match, qualifying match, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. A rematch from WrestleMania last year, if I am correct. This was a pretty decent match. Randy Orton doing what he can. Like, one problem with Randy Orton's wrestling, and we all know this, is that there are days where there are nights that he comes in and he just doesn't try. He just goes in there and he phones it in because he knows he can. Now, the talk about this match is the fact that we're getting towards the end of the match. The match was okay. The match was decent. Nothing special. No special spots and anything. But it was towards the end of the match. Randy Orton's on the outside. And all you hear is the Fiend's music play, and then he's leaning on a barricade. You see the Fiend pop up. Randy just freak out, and the Fiend disappear. He gets back in the ring. They wrestle a little bit more. Randy Orton actually hits the fall-away DDT for a 2 count. He's looking for the RKO. Lights go down. He's in the corner. Lights go down. The lights come back up. It's the Fiend again. He actually gets up on the apron and screams at Orton. And Orton freaks out again. He's looking around for the Fiend. In this time, AJ Styles comes up, hits the phenomenal forearm. 1, 2, 3. And he moves on to the triple threat match next week. So, next week's match is Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and AJ Styles. Give these motherfuckers 30 minutes and you will have yourself a Matt Classic. Now, 2 things. 1, The Fiend was never coming for the WWE Championship. He never wanted the WWE Championship. It was just convenient that the Randy Orton and The Fiend Well, the Fiend, Randy Orton was the WWE champion when the Fiend was targeting him. That is a misconception that people need to get out of their head. He never wanted the title. He wants revenge on Orton. So I've seen people who, I've seen Brian Zane and others oh, Drew McIntyre has all these challenges. He has Bray Wyatt. He has Randy Orton. No, it was never about the title. It's always about revenge from 2017. This is why people were wanting the Fiend to come out and attack the Undertaker last night, because of what happened in 2015 when the Undertaker and Kane obliterated the Wyatt family in 2.5 minutes in a 3-on-2 squash match. That's something I guess the Fiend will never be able to get back. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, this is good because it keeps these guys can go to war now in whatever match they're going to do, and it keeps the Fiend away from the WWE Championship. The Fiend does not need the title. The Fiend never needed the title in the first place. He has 2 title reigns under his belt. I know the second one was only a week, but still, he is a 2-time Universal Champion, and Bray Wyatt himself is a 1-time WWE Champion. He doesn't need to win another world title. He doesn't need to win another title, period. So, I'm fine with that. These guys can go to war. The Fiend can beat Randy Orton, and then Randy Orton can go on to probably win the title at the Royal Rumble from Drew McIntyre. And then Drew McIntyre can go on to do whatever they're going to do. But this was great. This is a good way to end this, and it keeps the Fiend out of the title picture. Now, for the triple threat match next week, who do I think is going to win that? I don't think it's going to be Keith Lee. Like I said, after what you saw tonight with him and Bobby Lashley, and the way that finished, I can totally see a TLC. Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee, United States Championship match. Tables match, TLC match, chairs match, whatever they want to go with. I think it's going to be AJ Styles. I don't really see Matt Riddle doing it either. Who are they going to have? Well, I just don't see Matt Riddle doing anything. I think Sheamus is going to cost Matt Riddle because Sheamus is that kind of guy, and it's going to continue him and Matt Riddle. So I'm picking AJ Styles, locking it in. It's the one that makes sense. You can have AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre. I think we had that earlier this year. Yeah, I think we had that earlier this year, and I'd like to see it again. But that is your Monday Night Raw review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Parler at The France Club. Fuck Twitter. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club, and find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys Wednesday for another episode of AEW on TNT as we get closer to Winter is Coming on December 2nd, which I believe this is the go-home show to Winter is Coming. But until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.